From Nissan Stadium, welcome into the Paul Kuharsky podcast. I'm Paul Kuharsky of paulkuharsky.com, the site you need to be a member of to get the best insight, news, and analysis on the Tennessee Titans. I'm here at Nissan Stadium still after the Titans lose to the Chargers 27-20. Better, more competitive game than most of us would have expected. But another loss. They're 1-8. Special teams outscores the offense. Defense outscores the offense. Unfortunate that they could not get anything out of the offense in a game where they really had a chance to pull an upset against a pretty good Chargers team. Chargers beat up on the offensive line, got worse as things went on. Titans got a great pass rush, six sacks of Justin Herbert, who really did make some big throws and had some good runs against them. Beat up Jalen Harrell at the end of one run. I was just watching it as I put it in my column about this game. And look, Chargers are better, more talented, better coached team than the Titans. It's nice that the Titans were in this game. I don't think anybody expected them to win it. You can't blame the Wildcat. Look, they really did 3 direct snaps. Now, they were all 2 and 3rd and 1, 1 and 3rd and 2. None of them gained a yard. One of them was undone by penalty, so it was really only 2. But thematically, yeah, it's, and then thematically it's questionable. As a game plan thing, McCoy kind of said they put it in. They thought it was important. I said, them? What about you? He said, yeah, everything has my name on it. But seemed to be kind of saying, I don't think it was unfair to read it as he's saying the offensive staff and not including himself with the offensive staff, which I thought was kind of silly. Everything has his name on it. If you remind him that he needs to put his name on it, but not in his initial mentioning of things that should have his name on it. Didn't work at any rate. Look, Cam Ward's not a runner. He ran 2 times in this game for like 6 yards, I think. But try a quarterback sneak before the Wildcat, which takes away the momentum of the running back coming into the handoff. At any rate, it didn't work. And the odds aren't high that the Titans, the way they were playing defense today, are going to give up a 99-yard drive. After they get stopped twice from the 1-yard line, but that's the way the game panned out. And it's not surprising that the Titans find a way to lose by any means. So here they are. They've got a week off, and then Houston, I believe, coming to town. They certainly need some time off. Any team, good, bad, whatever, at this stage of the year. If you haven't had your time off, you need your time off. Hottie Ward, whose wife gave birth to a baby girl Friday or Saturday. New dad had a big day. What do you have? 2.5 sacks. Draymond Jones continued to be good with 1.5 sacks, and he's on a tear. They're the 2 best trade chips, I would think. Excuse me. I don't know that the Titans are going to be super active here. I don't know that their people are wanted and valued in a way that it makes sense for the Titans to make deals. But, if you've got guys under 1-year contracts, you should be looking to move them. So do what you can. Tony Pollard was better today, more energetic, looked rested somehow, ran better. But still got outrun by Justin Herbert. And Tony Pollard looks better when you give him 10 carries than when you give him 20 carries. So 10 carries for 56 yards. Nice 5.6-yard average. About that time of year to start letting the beard grow out again. I don't know if you're talking to me or people in general or about yourself. Alex, I agree with you. I think quarterback sneak would make a lot of sense. And they've got to get Cam running a little bit more. He's not a running quarterback, but you can do more than they've done with a non-running quarterback, especially in some short yardage situations. I certainly think CA-1 has been a fan since 1992. In his 33 years, he's never seen the level of trash created, starting with this pathetic owner. Well, it's been in this pathetic family your whole time. Robert Price, Price. DK is really making Borgo look smart. DK, is not your conventional return man. He's a little bit taller and but he doesn't have that little jitterbug physique that I think of most of the time when I'm talking about return men. But he glides, and he said he knew that things were blocked up for him as soon as he turned the corner on the 67-yard punt return, the first since Darius Renaud in 2012 when he had 2 in a game against the Jaguars. And still we know him better for that safety to open the game against the Steelers, where he foolishly took a ball back in the end zone and knelt down. Isle Man or Arjun asks, do we think he's regressing? He just doesn't seem to be that confident out there. He did have a 29-yard reception. Led the team in receiving yards today with 46, 3 catches and 6 targets. So he had an early drop that was bad, but he did come back a little bit. Good to see he's not completely gone. But, he's sputtering for sure, and DK has kind of pulled away from him. Cam not running the ball is a problem, says Dennis. Every quarterback in the NFL runs the damn ball to keep the chains moving. This is just going crazy. They made Chig an honorary captain. Is that a sign he's moving this week? Well, they made, some scrub safety an honorary captain last week. Is that a sign that he's moving? I don't think they're getting a lot of calls on Chig. I don't think he's a valuable guy. Maybe he's moving. I don't think him being a captain today means they know that they're getting an offer that they like on him tomorrow or Tuesday. Am I hearing the same thing TD's hearing about Ridley? I didn't spend time seeing if they're shopping Ridley or not. They should be. But he's hurt and he's expensive. It'd be hard to get a return on. But I think TD said they're not shopping him. Look, they should be shopping everybody. The only guys not to shop, correct me if I'm wrong on that report, the only guys not to shop are Simmons and obviously Ward, and nobody's calling on Ward at this point, I wouldn't think. Hood says, not a big fan of Borgonzi trading our young players. He could have built around Brownlee and McCreary. They were the only bright spots in the cornerback room. Now it's terrible. I mean, McCreary's only under contract for 9 more games. If he doesn't love McCreary, then he wasn't going to re-sign McCreary. So then he wasn't building around McCreary. So you may not be a big fan of it, but Borgonzi's going to do what Borgonzi thinks is best. In 2 weeks after the bye, can Ridley and Simmons be back? Simmons certainly can. I expect Simmons to be back for the next game. I don't know about Ridley. Surprisingly, Draymond Jones is on a heater, has to be our best trade piece, maybe besides Ridley. I don't know why Ridley's such a good trade piece. Ridley had a hell of a time getting in sync with Will Levis a year ago. And then, despite having a good camp with Cam Ward, he had a hell of a time getting in sync with Cam Ward a year ago. If I'm a GM looking for a quarterback to come in, a receiver to come in and have instant impact with my quarterback, why would I think that Calvin Ridley could do it? I think Titans fans do what Titans fans do and overvalue their guys. I thought we may have been done using DK as the blocker on screenplays. Seeing him get blown back into the ball carrier was expected. Yeah, they put him out there again as a blocker. Dan Moore had 2 plays and 3 snaps where he just didn't look like he was interested in being out there. And I talked to him, and he said, you can't have a lull like that. Well, you're right on that, but he had the lull like that. Cam did have some time. CW says, Cam at time today had a lot of time and made some horrible throws. I'm not impressed. He didn't have a particularly good game. He only completed 12 passes. Average reception was what? 12.1 yards, so that's not terrible. But he didn't have a good game. They needed a spark on offense. He didn't provide it. Again, they crossed midfield 5 times, and they scored 6 points. They crossed midfield 5 times. They scored 6 points. Jay says, I am overpassing to players who are standing behind the line. I absolutely agree with that. And sometimes they throw to players who are behind the line, and it's been a slow developing play to get them in position to be standing behind the line. Those are my favorite ones. CW says, Herbert got hit on every play for sure once Alt went out. He will be very sore tomorrow. He also had some very good runs. Jalen Harrell might be sore from the shoulder that Herbert put into him. Really, Robert, do I see any meaning in the minimal fourth quarter only use of Chig? Are they wanting to avoid an injury that would hurt his trade value with Ridley and Snead? I just don't see this. I get this question a lot. People think some of the guys who were scratched to preserve trade value and everything. They're making it like, it's a baseball pitcher with a rotator cuff problem people are trying to hide or something. I mean, if the guy's on your roster today, and I don't get the sense that they've been fielding a lot of calls on Chigakonkwo, I don't think you're intentionally preserving him. And I don't think this staff is together enough to do something like that. They use Chig mostly when they're behind and defenses are playing when they're behind by a good margin and defenses are giving them room to use him. And this game was closer than that. So I don't think it was ideal circumstances for them to use him. But I don't think any player usage has been keyed on trade potential. I really don't. And I don't really think that's how it works. Never seen a suckier team in any sport. I mean, you didn't watch the White Sox from 2 years ago or the Rockies this year. I mean, they were worse. Coaching staff never learns from the mistakes they make. Just continued same trends. Screens never work. Wildcat has been bad. Runs every first down and complain about third and long. Well, I agree with you on the running very often on first down and the screens. Wildcat, they haven't. I mean, what have they run? 2-3 snaps of Wildcat before this game? Not any kind of regular Wildcat. All right, everybody retweet or point your friends to YouTube, and let's get a bigger crowd in here. They have to figure out next year how to play with or in front of the sticks. They have to be in the lead for most 3rd and 10-plus attempts. I mean, most of the league plays behind the sticks, throws behind the sticks. Their stats. There's only 1 or 2 teams that really throw in front of the sticks. Now, the Titans need to do better than they do with it, obviously. Can I, Richard asks, ask McCoy how much Ward is allowed to audible? Seems like I'm not seeing as much since he took over coaching. Yeah, maybe. Any chance, Henry James Clifford asks, of Denard Wilson staying? With that backfield, I was very impressed that we stayed in it for as long as we did. Why do you want anyone to stay from this staff? This staff that won 3 games last year and 1 game this year with terrible personnel. You've got a chance at a new coach to bring in his new people. I like Denard, but why do you want to hold on to something from this era instead of purge everything? I don't get it. I would not want to hold on to anything. Bones fossil, because he's only been around for some of it. He's developed a returner, which is a miracle in Tennessee. But get rid of everything. Let Denard go? Do you think he wants to be here under a new head coach? Soon as they cross the 50, they run trick plays. We're depending on practice squad players to get open and practice squad corners to stop good receivers. I don't know what the snap count was for Kinsey, who now, by the way, is on the 53-man roster. But, yeah, he's a practice squad player. And Prochet, I don't think they played a great deal. So I disagree with your premise on wide receivers. The primary wide receivers on this team right now are DK and Isle Manor, who are not practice squad guys. They're young guys. Now, I don't dispute what you're saying about corners. Early on, Jack says, it seemed like the supporting cast was letting Cam down, but now we're seeing the inverse. I hope his confidence isn't beginning to get shaken and it's just growing pains. Who let Cam down today? I mean, Isle Manor had an early drop. And a couple of Wildcat snaps didn't work. But I didn't see anybody. And the line wasn't great. He got sacked 4 times. Herbert got sacked 6 times. So I don't know who exactly was letting Cam down today. I mean, I think the offense in its entirety was pretty bad. And again, we're going a little crazy with this Wildcat. There were 3 snaps of Wildcat, and one of them was undone by a penalty. So there were technically 2 snaps of Wildcat. Is it bad? Yeah. Should they have? But I mean, was there enough of it that they should go, hey, let's stop using all of this Wildcat when they used 3 snaps of it? I think that's a little overreacting. When a team, Nicholas says, gets an interception return for a touchdown and a punt return for a touchdown, it should win by 30 points. The fact that the Titans lost by a TD is goddamn embarrassing. Well, a team and this team are 2 different things. We know that. But, yeah, you would think the Titans would at least score their 13 points, and you would have 14 and 13, and they should score 27. And if they score 27, they'd at least be in an overtime situation with this team. Why not run Spears over Pollard in the red zone? Well, I mean, Pollard had a better day than Spears. Pollard had 10 carries at 5.6, and Spears had 7 carries at 3.7. I mean, your argument is it's quicker in small spaces. That might be fine. Is it legal for the Titans to put Cam under center on 3rd and 1? Absolutely. Absolutely. And they should have done it. They should have done it. At least one Wildcat, Kenny says, in every hard-agreed game. I don't have a problem with one Wildcat in a game. I mean, I don't think one Wildcat is undoing the offense in a game. I don't. I think 3 today were 3 too many. They didn't work. One of them was undone by penalty. I think you should be able to overcome it. I think they called it on 3rd and 1, and then on 4th and 1, they handed the ball off. Well, the Wildcat isn't preventing them to get from getting in on 4th and 1 on a regular handoff. Armour Davis is absolutely atrocious, says MGG, and that is absolutely correct. Look, Brandon says, how can you expect accountability from your players or staff when the head coach doesn't take any himself? He's just not good. He doesn't communicate well. I can't imagine him being any good in front of a room. Reminds me of a conversation I had with an old GM a while ago about the kind of people that get hired as head coaches, because it's very hard to imagine Mike McCoy as a choice for head coach for the Chargers. But the Chargers have hired some not good head coaches, right? They've got a good one now. But for there to be a time where they thought Mike McCoy was a good head coach, just experiencing his personality now, you know, the person I was talking to was talking about Chris Palmer and just saying, like, can you imagine going through the whole process of hiring a head coach and thinking like Chris Palmer, Nice guy. But that Chris Palmer is the guy who's going to be the CEO of our team and lead our organization. No. I feel the same way about Mike McCoy. Like, how could you ever think Mike McCoy is the guy to lead our organization? And that Brinker and Borgonzi thought that Mike McCoy was the best guy on the staff to get them through the remainder of the season. So it's an insult to the players to put this guy up in front of the room when you had Fossil or Wilson. Why do people want, would Rex Ryan fit? Why do you want a guy that's been out of coaching for like 8 years? Mike doesn't think they can go in the next season with Isle Manor as the starting X unless he has a really strong end of the season. Well, it'd be nice to have competition for him, but who are they going to get? They're going to draft one excellent receiver, you would hope. Now, what spot he plays, I don't know. But their 3 top receivers are going to be draft pick, DK, Isle Manor. Those are their 3 top receivers next year. They did not trade. Juan is saying, remember, we traded Brownlee to get Jalen Armour-Davis in his position. Let Brinker cook. They did not trade Brownlee with the express intention of getting Jalen Armour-Davis in. They traded Brownlee because they wanted Brownlee out. Now, they thought, hey, we've got a pool of people that we could get in there that'll be all right, and they were wrong on that, obviously. Do I feel like Helm is underutilized considering wide receiver depth? I mean, I do feel like Helm is underutilized, but based on what they did today, 6 targets for Isle Manor, 3 targets for Spears, 2 for Okonkwo, 4 for Jefferson. That's too many, probably. 1 for Helm, 2 for Pollard, 3 for DK. Who are we taking targets away from besides Jefferson? I don't have a beef with Isle Manor or Spears or Chig or Pollard or DK. So they have to create more targets. Brandon Allen is worse. Absolutely worse. Daryl says, today actually was good as the Titans were competitive, but still stayed with Saints and Jets for the number 1 pick so they could trade down and get more picks, which the team needs. That's fine. If that's your objective, is to get the number 1 pick. My objective, if I was running the team, if I was coaching the team, would be to have Cam Ward, Isle Manor, Helm, DK, Sweat, the key youth on this team. I would have them experience winning. That's crazy for me. I know. I should want to lose if I was in management on this team, building a resume. I should want to lose, all in the names of picks, because the higher pick is always the better pick. I know that. But I would want my youth to experience winning. I'm crazy that way. Got to draft a certified diva at wide receiver coming up. I mean, the kid in Tampa isn't, I know you're being sarcastic, but I don't think that the receivers coming into the league is Jackson Smith and Jigba. Is he a diva? Is Igbuka in Tampa Bay a diva? Those are the kind of guys I want. I'm not real high on Joe Brady as a good head coach. He's the offensive coordinator in Buffalo. Anybody's going to be good at that job with the best quarterback in the league in Josh Allen. He bounced around a lot. There's something going on with that. Not my top choice by any means. Jack says, past few coaching cycles have been dominated by big names like Ben Johnson. Think there's anyone in this cycle with a name allure? Seem to be a lot of retread names. Well, I think that the offensive coordinator pool has thinned out because a lot of them have been hired. I mean, they're doing homework on coaches now, but you can't go talk to somebody's assistant coach who's under contract and working right now. Kevin Winston didn't make much of a mark in this game. Rags is asking. Assume that's a good thing. Didn't seem like he was involved in any of the blown coverages. He wasn't running real well on one play that he was pursuing. I don't think he was good. Nicholas says, if the Titans can't get a 4th-round pick or better for its players, then it's pointless to trade anyone. 6th and 7th-round picks are no different than UFAs. That's not true exactly. You're not guaranteed to get a UFA. You're guaranteed to get a 6th or 7th-round pick. So if you like a guy in the 6th and 7th round, you can get him. As a undrafted, you're competing with everybody else, and you're not definitely going to get him. Also, 6th and 7th round picks help you move up into the 5th and the 4th round. When people are moving down because they're not happy with what's there, that's trade fodder. But certainly I'd like to get more if you're trading. Who on this team is worth a 4th round pick? Don't get carried away with this. This team would lose to a college team. People love to say that. I like Robert Saleh, former Jets coach, who's defensive coordinator in San Francisco now. Yeah. So Classic Ride Society's pointing out that Dick Vermeil was out of coaching for a while and he came back and won. Give me the rest of that list instead of the exception to the rule. Give me the rest of that list. You're not going to build the team by stockpiling 6th round picks. If you trade 3 6th round picks for a 4th round pick and you draft somebody like Chim Dike or Gunnar Helm or Alec Isle Manor, you can build a team. I'm not saying that's all you do, but that can be part of what you do. Sure. It can be part of what you do. Yeah, I heard good things about Hafley. He's been a good defensive coordinator. Now, they have lost the Packers, I think, to the 2 worst teams on their schedule, which isn't good. And that he's a good defensive coordinator doesn't necessarily make him a good head coach. So we'll see. McCarthy, obviously, is an interesting guy. He was out for a year, maybe 2 before he went to Dallas. He wasn't fantastic in Dallas. Now he's been out for a year or 2, and maybe he comes here. I don't know. I think he's a bit of a dinosaur. Any of the new DBs stand out to me. I didn't like Marcus Harris today. I wasn't overly impressed with Kevin Winston. So we'll see. Somebody's talking about not liking Rand Carthon. Who liked Rand Carthon? I mean, it was a bad hire. Everybody knows that. Bruce Arians is another good call, but Bruce Arians was, I think, when he got hired by Chuck Pagano in Indianapolis, I think he came straight from Pittsburgh then. Did he have time off then? Is that the time window that we're talking about? Or he took a little bit of time between Arizona and Tampa Bay? I think maybe he took a little time between Arizona and Tampa Bay, and that was an older guy kind of retiring and unretiring. Fire Burke. Now, what does Burke have to do with what's going on here exactly? Like, I understand people being upset with Burke generally, but you think Burke's fingerprints are on this roster? I don't think anybody's suggesting Arians. I hope not. They're using Arians as an example of somebody who went away and came back. Ben, I did not see Rand Carthon bragging about how good a coach Vrabel is. Why would anybody watch Rand Carthon on TV? What I want is to, in my time watching TV, I want to watch a failed GM talk as an expert. That's what I want. Andy's talking about missing me on the radio. I'm on 102.5 The Game Wednesday mornings, 7:30 to 9. And sometimes as a substitute, I podcast 3 times a week, including tomorrow at 3 o'clock on a football show. What else do we think about this game? They need more punch at running back. I mean, Pollard was better today. I wonder if that's a sign about some kind of resurgence. Get him a rest now. It would be great if he had more. Pollard's long today was 16. That's better than 11. Usually his long run is 11. So that's exciting. Cedric Gray was back tackling a ton. I think not missing the run fits in the way. Look, they stopped the Chargers from running. I mean, the Chargers are way down at running back. They had Patterson and Vidal with the bulk of their carries. The guy that hurt them running was Herbert. Mullings has potential to come back, I think, after the bye week. I think people are counting on him to be any kind of big difference maker or over expecting. Borgonzi needs a lot of time to build this roster, but man, that Dan Moore contract feels potentially problematic. No, I mean, they decided that they were going to pay market value for the guy who was the best available tackle, who they knew was not particularly good. They knew he was an average tackle. So why is that, of all contracts, going to be problematic when they're going to have mounds of salary cap room coming up? He's going to be a starting left tackle next year also, as they address a ton of other stuff. And they're going to have a very average left tackle. This is just silly to me, CW. And I'm sorry, and I hope you consider us friends and we have a good rapport here. You think Pollard's effort today was something he wanted to put on film so other teams, please trade for me and get me out of here. And you think teams are going to trade based on what he did today and not based on his season of film and his career of film, but what he did today. They're going to go in tomorrow morning and they're going to say, you know, I was really iffy on Pollard. I was really, really iffy on Pollard. But he ran for 5.6 a carry in his 10 carries yesterday. And those 10 carries are going to change my opinion. Really? Really? We think anything any Titan did today is going to change somebody's opinion on him? Even Jihad Ward, who had the best game, I would argue, of any Titan today with 2.5 sacks, or Draymond Jones, who had a sack, I think, in his 4th game in a row. Today is the thing that's going to sway somebody from no to yes. Here's what might sway somebody from no to yes is what their guy did today. If their pass rusher that they need to supplement had a shit game today, if their running back that they've been like, you know, we really need to supplement that guy, and he did really poorly today in a way that was like, yep, you know, if we were thinking, you know, maybe he could show us a little bit, if we're on the fence, like that, I believe could maybe have an effect. But do I think that some 10 carries by Tony Pollard is going to change somebody's mind about what Tony Pollard is? That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Pollard would be an upgrade for the Chargers over Vidal. Sure, but not based on those 10 snaps. Not based on those 10 snaps. Oh, now you're offering guarantees. So now CW, I mean, we're having a nice conversation. Now CW, mark his words. The Chargers or, I'm in the wrong thing. Mark his words. The Chargers or the Chiefs will trade for him. So now we've got a guarantee. We're having a conversation. Now it's got to turn into a guarantee. All right. I'm not going to mark your words because I'm going to completely forget we had this conversation. But I know if the Chiefs or the Chargers trade from him, I'll hear from you. And if they don't, I'll never hear from you on the subject. Never. That's how it works. It's too early to be concerned about Cam. And I mean, Cam wasn't disastrous today. He just wasn't good. He didn't turn the ball over. Made a couple bad throws. Doesn't have a sense of when to run, which is disappointing. I'd like to see more. But I don't think Cam tipped downward today. I think Cam's been better the last couple weeks. And I think 9 games. I'm going to say the same thing I said last week. Last week I said 7 games is too little to judge Cam Ward on. If you think I was going to go, or 8 games is too little. And now I'm going to say 9 games is just enough. Now we should call him a bust. Offensive line did not have a good day. Well, CW, you can't back down from what you said. You said the Chiefs or the Chargers are trading for him. You can't now dumb it down. I'm not putting up your next comment backing down. You said what you said. Brandon says, am I in the wrong? So we already covered that. At what point do they give the rookie right guard a shot? Zeitler hasn't played well this year. I also don't think Ward is adjusting the blocking scheme pre-snap. Well, it might be on Cushenberry to adjust the blocking scheme pre-snap. I think it really, they both have the freedom to do it, but I would rather rely on Cushenberry, a veteran, as opposed to Cam, who's a rookie and has plenty of other things to deal with. That Zeitler hasn't played well doesn't mean that Jackson Slater will play well. And if they deem Jackson Slater a project for next year, which I think would be the wise thinking based on him being, a 6th-round draft pick? And we just talked about 6th-round draft picks not being all that. I would hope that he could be the center or the guard next year as they look to replace Zeitler in all likelihood, and maybe Cushenberry, who's really underachieved. So we shall see. Arjun says, we have too many needs to fix in one off season. This is what makes this year feel soulless. It's absolutely true. There are too many needs to fix in one off season, which is what we said last season. I said last season needed to be the last season. We said it was too much to fix in one off season, and it can't. Noah says, got to do whatever they can to keep Bones on and a new staff. The gold standard of special teams coaches, night and day difference. Listen, they've been much better in some regards on special teams. DK's been terrific, but Johnny Hecker's net average was 35.6 today. That's crap. So let's not, we're going to just ignore that. I like Bones, and I think Bones should be here, but a 35.6 net is not good. Not good. So I'm not going to just dismiss the Johnny Hecker thing. And how many penalties were there on special teams today? 2. So that keeps going. Look, I'm pretty sure he's under a 3-year contract, so he's not going anywhere unless the new head coach wants him to go somewhere. And I'm sure Brinker and Borgonzi will encourage the new head coach to keep him. And it's less likely that a new head coach is going to come in married to a special teams coach. Less likely he's going to come in married to a special teams coach than he is going to come in married to a offensive coordinator, defense coordinator, etc. Still the most, according to Richard Snyder, penalized special teams in the league. If there's a preemptive conversation going on, Brandon, behind the scenes with somebody that's employed by the NFL, and they were telling me about it in a way that I could report on it, they would get in trouble with the league. So if they were talking to Robert Saleh behind the scenes and that got out, they would be in trouble. That's tampering. Now, Robert, I just talked about Hecker. I think that they should consider other options there. I think they're missing out. I don't think they're getting what they need out of that position. but I think he's got strong backing, too strong a backing probably of Bones. So we'll see. But 3 times in this game, had a guy fair catching at the 20 who, could have been fair catching, I think, at the 15, just on distance. And then, a guy fair catching at the 15 who I thought could have been fair catching at least at the 10, and a guy fair catching at the 12 who, you would have liked to have been at least at the 8. And those are all, yards that they need. Yeah, I think Ward was getting hit when a ball came out of his hand. There was no issue with Ward's ball grip today in my eyes. They're working with Ward on his footwork all the time. Now, whether it's enough during the season now, I wrote a piece this week. You should read it at paulkuharski.com about how, I think some of the stuff where he makes his biggest plays on plays where his footwork isn't that big a concern because he can fly around and run towards the sideline and throw back across his body and make a miracle throw. And nobody's saying, look at the great footwork on that throw. I think that runs kind of counter to the idea of being super precise on your footwork for a 6-yard gain. So in his head, does that connect? That how important that is? I don't know, but it seems like there's some psychological potential for that to run counter. And then, I think you need more, another offseason, start to finish offseason, not a draft offseason of having that stuff beaten into your head by another coach, different voice. But yeah, he's got a long way to go. I don't know what this means, Patrick. The offense produced 6 points today. Is there a way to access a quarterback with no help? I don't know what that means. Coming down to the new stuff. I'm brought to you by Edley's. Edley's Barbecue in and around Nashville is the best barbecue and the best eats you're going to find. I broadcast from 12 South on Fridays. I've broadcasted from East Nashville, which is a great site also, and from Franklin and Berry Farms, which is another great spot. They're all terrific. Sylvan Park radio show used to do some there. Great food. And I'll tell you this, if you don't have an occasion to go there, which you should, take a business lunch there, take your family there for dinner. But if for some reason you can't make it, download their app, which I've got on my phone. It's fantastic. First off, they deliver really fast. And secondly, it's really cheap, like a super fraction of what it costs you to get DoorDash or Uber Eats or any of the delivery services to bring you food. So Edley's Barbecue is taking the hassle out of that. They want it to be like they're bringing the restaurant to you. Very inexpensive delivery stuff, and their food's a great value. Huge portions, great selection. They get it to you hot. It's delicious stuff. Don't miss out. Edley's Barbecue, best you're going to find. And they're great to me as a sponsor of the Paul Kuharski podcast. Check them out. You should also be a member of the Paul Kuharski, paulkuharski.com, excuse me. It's where I gather everything that I write, news and analysis beyond what you get at the regular place. I try to write at regular places. I try to write stuff that's different than what most people are writing on any given day. Also have tomorrow Blake Bedingfield, who scouted for the team for 19 years and was instrumental in them drafting Derrick Henry. He'll write a review from a scouting perspective of this game and what unfolded and what didn't unfold and why. Wednesday, Drew Beatty will have a film study on somebody or something. Mike Herndon with a great analytical column later in the week. Braden Gall with a look at college football from a Titans perspective, who we should be watching to be familiar with at their positions of need. All that and much, much more. I'll send you a text message about, I know I owe a few of you an email with the link where to go to get text messages about these podcasts, which I do Sundays from the press box after a game is over. And Wednesday, midweek report. Friday from Edley's Barbecue. I'm also on Mondays on a football show on the 440 Sports Network with Braden Gall. And you'll find me on Wednesday mornings with Robbie and Rexrow on 102.5 The Game from 7:30 to 9. So I hope you'll check all of that out. Consider coming and joining with me. Private message board website at facebook.com. Also, I had a bunch of tickets this weekend that people were giving me to give away, which if I get them early enough, I'll give to members and or new members. So come check that out. If you're going to Edley's for the first time, I would get the burnt ends or the brisket in some way, shape, or form, Colin asks. There you go. Curtis says the same. The brisket, always go with the brisket. Here's somebody that's not miserable with today's game, Ultra. I'm not mad at today's game. The direct snaps to the running backs blew my mind. Who cares what yard line the opponent fair catches a punt? Our defense doesn't stop anyone anywhere on the field. DBs don't break up passes because they don't break on anything. Yeah, if they fair catch it further away from the goal line, they have to travel further to the goal line. There are more occasions for the Titans to sack the quarterback, which they did 6 times today, which was impressive. There are more occasions for mistakes to be made. It matters, Nicholas. I get your broad point. I hope you get mine. I don't know if they're shopping Calvin or not. Curtis asks about the report that they're not shopping Calvin. Any guesses why? I don't think there's a huge market for Calvin. Calvin's got a big contract. Calvin's hurt. I think Calvin healthy could help Cam Ward a lot. I mean, I don't. Here's Caden asking me my prediction for their next win. I mean, I don't really predict things, but obviously their 2 best chances at a win are the Saints game and the Browns game. And I know the people that want them to have the best possible draft pick are rooting against their potentially winning those games. Does the view of Levis's performance change at all since seeing another quarterback come in and struggle in this offensive system as well? Saw Cam flip it to a lineman today to end the half. I don't think he flipped it to a lineman. I think he got hit and the ball went to a lineman. It's a big difference. Look, Levis was bad, separate of Cam being bad. I don't think there's Levis forgiveness built into Cam's struggles. I think there's some similarity, but more difference. Yeah, so I don't think Levis was coached phenomenally well, and I don't think Cam's been coached phenomenally well. But I think Cam's a more talented player and has a brighter future than Will Levis. And I'm shocked at the number of people that are anxious. It must be Kentucky fans who are just dying to give blanket forgiveness to Will Levis for his failures in, and he did have, 2 camps, one as a rookie, one as a guy, a full camp, and still didn't get better at those things. So I think if Cam is doing a lot of these things after a full off season with a new coach, I would be much more discouraged, and I expect him to get better. I do expect him to get better. We'll take a couple more. The Levis folks still think he's a starter, Curtis says. I think Levis has a chance to go somewhere, sit, and reemerge as a, low-level starting quarterback. First, got to get this shoulder right. I don't know what the status of the rehab is and all of that. And then, he's starting from zero with a new team and he's hurt his trade value because he's going somewhere sight unseen. Here's somebody that thinks that Aaron Rodgers not liking Robert Saleh gives him concern. Aaron Rodgers is a kook. Who gives a fuck what Aaron Rodgers thinks about a defensive coach? Well, he's on doing peyote or whatever it is he does. If the Titans defense, Nick says, makes stops. Sorry. If the Titans defense makes stops, then field position would matter, but they don't get off the field on third down. They don't get interceptions because DBs don't break on the ball. Cody Barton broke on the ball on the very first possession of the game. I mean, again, I get what you're saying broadly. I yielded it to you broadly, and you won't let it go. Now, I don't know if it's you or if it's somebody else, but you're making it like the Titans gave up points in this game on every single possession, and they didn't. They didn't. So let's look at the ball possession and drive chart, because the Chargers punted 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So if they punted 4 times, that means the Titans stopped them 4 times. So that means field position, at least in those circumstances, counted. And I'm talking more about the Titans punting. So the Titans punted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And in those 5 times, you take all the field position you could get. You're saying, well, the defense plays poorly, so it doesn't matter where they get the ball. That makes no sense. The defense plays poorly, so it matters more where they get the ball, because you want them to be at more of a disadvantage because the corners are bad and whatever. But it's not like the Chargers came down and scored every time. So field position mattered. Yes, it did. You're dismissed. Why not keep Levis through his rookie contract? To what end? I mean, I wanted them to keep him this year, and I thought he'd be a much better backup than Brandon Allen. But at this point, why? I mean, we'll see what the new coach thinks to a degree, but he wants out, and he screwed them over. And so, you know, Dalton Huff supporting me on Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers doesn't like anyone. Who gives a fuck? Saleh wanted to keep Darnold, and they forced Zach Wilson onto him before the whole Rodgers BS happened. We've hit this already. It would be nice to run a quarterback sneak, Simple Circuit says. And MB with the whole Levis versus Cam thing is ridiculous. They moved on the minute they chose Cam with the number 1 pick. Everybody's correct on that. Richard Snyder says they need a kicker that can make field goals from the right hash mark, something else to put on the shopping list. Wasn't a problem today. He hit his 2 kicks. And Joey Sly is not at the top of the list of problems. Hey, this has been a good chat. I appreciate you coming. If you missed it or coming in late, you can start it right from the beginning on Twitter or on YouTube. I appreciate your presence. It will post sometime tonight on Apple, on Spotify, on iHeart, be available for you tonight and certainly tomorrow morning for your drive into work. I appreciate all of you. Sign up at paulkuharsky.com. Eat at Edley's Barbecue. Get their app and order some food into your house for a very cheap delivery fee. I appreciate you very much. Don't block the box, and be sure, please, to lock your locks. Cheers.